If you didn't cut the first couple seconds out, people might think that this was scripted
Yeah.
or unscripted.
It's definitely unscripted.
Definitely unscripted. There's no way.
Welcome to the Daves of our lives. The opinions, comments, and views expressed on this podcast do not reflect the opinions or views of Dave or any other Daves. All comments should be taken as parody and or satire. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to the unscripted Daves of our lives. Another episode of the always unscripted Daves of our lives. I'm here with my co-host Dave. Welcome back, Dave. And I am Dave O. I'm not sure.
As I can now call you in private and public, Brownie O.
Brownie O?
Brownie O.
Cupcake.
Actually, that fits Cupcake a lot better than Brownie.
Better than Brownie O.
Yeah, Cupcake.
That was a really good Homer Simpson growl.
With a little Perry the Platypus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like it. You had something you wanted to talk about first off.
Okay.
But do we have any fact check recaps? I think there were a couple fact checks that we didn't recap from last
Nobody
time.
called us out on them. So
Nobody called us out. Nobody's calling us out.
If you called us out on the fact, we can look it up. But I can't remember anything that was important to talk about.
I'm sure there was. We just don't listen to our own episodes.
We can put it into Notebook LM. Like you can export it, and then we could see what Notebook
Actually,
LM.
that's a good idea.
Let's have Notebook LM fact check us.
Great idea.
And live.
Oh, live Notebook LM fact check.
AI fact check.
Okay, next
Notebook
episode.
LM.
Join
episode.
us next time.
Yeah.
When we do a live AI fact check on our previous facts.
Well, this has been a good episode. You guys know we're not going to be that short.
Okay,
so
we'll do fact checks next time. What do you got for us, Dave?
Today, my wife and I went to DI. It's like a thrift store.
Is it a normal Saturday activity?
We go to
guys?
DI once a week, and we go to lunch. But today we were in Ogden, so we're like, we'll check
the Harrisville.
Went to a different DI.
DI, yeah.
They have a whole different selection. There's a whole different types of people donating to this versus Brigham.
Right. Yeah.
So who knows what you'll get there.
I would love to at some point see Park City get a DI. They have no thrift stores in Park City that I'm aware of. They might have
feel like
stores.
Their hand-me-downs are things that I can't afford to buy used on Facebook Marketplace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if they had a DI, that'd be great.
That'd be great. So anyway, I'm at the DI and I see this picture, and I have it right here, and I want to show it.
Oh, you brought it?
I brought it. So
you bought this today?
I bought this.
All right, explain this to me. It looks like origami.
Looks like origami. Now I'm looking at it. It looks pretty nice. However, on the back of it, there is a hand
what
note.
Is this?
Do not read it out loud since we will not be doxing names.
Well, a quilt made by first and last name for name and name on their wedding day. Oh my gosh.
So this is a custom
Who gave
wedding.
this to DI?
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Custom made for somebody as a wedding present to somebody. And I thought to myself, who would do this? So
They've got a website.
The website I think is for the company that did it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if the guy is associated with the website at all. So
the person.
I think that he made it
or ordered it from.
He ordered it. They gave him like all the paper and
gift.
the design, and then he put it together. So I'm assuming that they do kits like this. However, it looks kind of cool. I'm like, whatever.
It is
$2, and here's that. Okay, so I decided to do a little bit of internet detective work. I'm like, I wonder if I can find these people.
And?
So I try to look for the lady and the husband on Facebook.
Okay.
And I am unsuccessful in finding the lady and the husband on Facebook. However, I then type the giver's name in Facebook. And I find somebody that lives in Utah, has the name. I click on their friend list. I then search. And I find
You found
this
them?
lady.
Oh, you found the wife.
I found the bride and the groom.
You found them both.
I found them both. And she has like 1,200 followers.
Okay.
Couple kids.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's the same one, but the chances that these people with the same names
are connected,
and then that she's married. So I scrolling through the public, and this is in August of 2017, I think.
15.
August of 2015.
So 10 years ago.
10 years ago. And there is
Almost.
a picture of her holding the ring up in April of 2015.
So they are engaged in April.
So they're engaged in April.
Married in August.
So I'm like, okay, between the engagement being the same time frame.
It's about 4 months difference there.
Yeah, because they're engaged and they got married,
Yeah,
right? You got the wedding gift. They have a friend with this name. I told Laura, I said, I'm going to buy this, and then I'm going to do something with it. Now,
do you know what you're going to do with it?
This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to let all the listeners know about this.
Okay.
This will be important later. I am going to find out where the husband and wife live.
And you're going to give it to him?
I am going to mail it to them with a written note on the glass pointing at the DI sticker. And it says, I thought we were friends. And then put the name of the person that gave the gift.
That's... Oh, okay. All right. That's some pretty... Then
I'm going to wait like 2-3 weeks.
And stalk them again on Facebook?
And send a letter to the guy. And put in there, check out this episode, Days of Our Lives, this
with
time. And send it to them also to just complete the prank. I mean, this is $2.
Okay.
This might be, I might be $20 into this.
Sure,
prank.
but $20 worth of entertainment value.
You shouldn't do this. I feel like the fact that I was able to find them
to it
within
now.
a minute online, it's just destiny that I do something.
It's public record now, Dave.
Public record. Anyway, there are only a couple reasons I will not do this.
Okay.
So one, if they're divorced.
How are you going to find that out?
I'm going to have to do some more internet sleuthing. But the amount I can do inside the DI is limited. But I think I can do a little bit more poking around based off the fact that the lady had a lot of followers and she still had a picture of like her and her husband. I'm assuming they're still together.
Yeah. So, okay.
So that's one reason. Number two, I would not do it, is if anybody involved is dead.
Yeah,
so
you've already had some issues with that in the past, Dave.
Yes. If the guy that gave this to them is dead,
you wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it because I feel like, yes, they gave away their friend's present from their wedding, but I don't think they need to be haunted from the grave.
But that would make it so much funnier, in my opinion.
Like in a really bad, wrong way, like a Seinfeld.
Sure.
Yes. Like you get arrested at the end of the season, Seinfeld. Like there's a reason why. You're a bad person. So, and if anybody's dead. So if the husband's dead, if the wife's dead, anybody's dead.
You're not going to
if they're divorced. Now, if he's divorced, the giver of the gift,
fine. It doesn't matter.
Irrelevant to the story.
It is.
But yeah, so I'm going to send
now,
this.
let me ask you something.
You going to try to talk me out of this? Don't.
Absolutely not. No,
Good,
I
you're
think
a
this
good
is a great idea. This is hilarious. Pay close attention to the coming episodes, folks. If the couple is divorced, have you considered mailing this back to the giver with a different kind of note?
So if people are dead, I think this just goes back to DI probably.
Okay.
End of story. We'll talk about it in 2 weeks. 2.5 weeks or whatever. But if they're divorced, I think we could come up with something to salvage it. I don't know what it would be.
Salvage the prank?
Salvage the pranks.
Okay. Yeah, I think
and it might be sending it back to the original person
and saying we got divorced. Thank you for the thought.
Say something like, we're no longer together anymore, and to be honest, we fought about this. We fought about. I liked it. He thought it was hideous or something. Just
so we just decided to give it to DI.
So no. I don't think that we let him know it came from DI at that point. I think we
like
just
mail
make
it back,
it look like
we fought over this and couldn't decide.
Yeah,
so.
this may have broke up our marriage.
That's terrible. I think that's worse.
That's worse.
That's
okay.
worse.
Okay. Well, we're thinking out loud.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be. I think that would be worse.
And
then you send them like, listen to this episode of The Days of Our Lives,
so they know that they're being
worse.
pranked.
Yes,
that's worse. Okay,
I think that's worse. Don't do. Yeah,
if they're divorced,
we'll figure something.
We'll talk to our better halves. We'll talk to our wives and get some like sounding board advice. Because Laura's okay with the I thought we were friends.
I really like that idea.
Because it can bring up a conversation. And then it could be funny.
It could be, and then they could like reach out to this guy and be like,
hey, what the crap?
Sorry, man. Like we didn't mean to offend you.
And then he won't know anything about it until a couple weeks later when we send him the letter.
So you need to find out an address. Well, find out if they're still married, find out if everyone's alive, and then get an address.
Yeah, because divorces are public record.
Right.
Separations, legal separations, I think might be public record also. But if they're not legally separated, so it's going to take a little bit of internet sleuthing. It's not something.
Do you have any mutual connections on Facebook?
Okay, look, this was like a 1-minute investigation in Facebook. I haven't.
You see how many mutual friends
I didn't even see if we had mutual friends or anything. I'm sure Kevin Bacon is somehow connected.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
This.
There's 6 degrees somewhere.
Yeah, but this is the plan, and I thought I'd share with you live on our podcast.
Pay attention.
You heard
folks.
it first here.
Okay,
we are up to no good.
Well, I'll have to check my friends list to see if I have any mutual connections with them. Also,
we'll talk offline.
We'll figure this out. This is great. I like this. This is fun.
This is fun.
This is fun.
Have I ever told you there's 2 ways to spell fun? F-U-N.
Okay.
And F-U-N. So when people say, well, that's fun, I'm like, which type of fun are you saying?
The first
one. Or F-U-N.
Not that one. This is F-U-N.
And also, in case you guys are noticing, Dave and I are podcasting bare ears
headphones. This is raw.
The ear nudity.
Don't judge me by my ears.
Don't judge me by my ears.
It's the first time you've seen them.
Apparently, my headphones have
never been working.
They've never been working, but I wanted to look cool, and Dave talked me into taking off a article of podcasting equipment for a more unfiltered look.
Those of you that are on our Patreon behind our paywall, when we actually make some money, we'll upgrade our setup.
Yeah, this episode has been sponsored by R1 Sauce.
For your booty.
Yeah, sauce your booty. Yep.
Sauce your booty.
We can be bought. Anyway, is there anything you wanted to share? Anything new?
No, I think that's the most exciting thing, Dave. I'm really excited about it. And even if I had something to share, I wouldn't have remembered it after that.
You wouldn't have remembered after that.
The prospect of pranking these folks with their paper origami man or paper man origami thing.
It was just like I looked at the back and I'm like, it was a wedding gift. Why would they give it away?
What I just went down the rabbit hole. What I find funny about this is they didn't bother to take that off of it before they gave it to DI.
There could be a whole story about this.
There could be a whole story. If this works out and you get in contact with them, we should do a special episode with these people on.
Yeah, totally. We could make new friends this way.
I would love that.
What I told Laura is I said, this could end up being Fast and Testimony fodder. And she goes, Fast and Testimony fodder? And I'm like, come on, I don't think you can call it regular Fast and Testimony. It's definitely fodder.
Yeah.
Somebody gave this away and it really meant so much to our family and it just appeared back in our lives.
Just came back to us.
This could go anywhere. I don't know. We're going in unknown territory.
I'm excited.
This is provocative podcasting.
Yes. Okay.
Hey, today's subject.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have another question?
No.
Okay.
Today's topic.
So today's topic, we're going to talk about everything, fun stories and thoughts on games, board games, video games, things like that.
Sports?
If you want to expand it to that, you can.
Okay.
I was thinking
I've got some stories.
Board games, but that's because I love
card games. Card games. Video games.
Sports, we could probably do like a whole nother episode.
We could do a whole other episode on sports.
Let's keep sports for a whole nother episode because there's
board games, card games, video games separate from sports because they're not the same thing.
There's a different level of athleticism needed for card games than basketball.
Are we calling that athleticism?
It's a different level. I didn't say higher level. Hey, listen, you're on the chess club. You're an athlete.
I mean, you can let her in it. You can let her in debates.
Annie, she's the captain of the Mario Kart team at the high school.
There's a team?
There's esports teams. Destry's on it also.
Okay.
And I told Lucy, I was like, we're so proud of Annie because she's the first high school athlete. And she's all, I was in theater. It's not athletics.
Not athletics.
I'm sorry. Like, Annie's made me very proud in a special way that you never did because she's our first high school athlete.
How does she do at Mario Kart?
She's good.
Okay.
Both the kids are really good. I think I told you that I was never kind to them.
Oh, so they had to work for every single one of their victories.
They thought they sucked at Mario Kart.
Until they didn't.
Until Lucy goes on a date with a guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so good at Mario Kart,"
and she just trounced him.
Oh, horribly. Then she had a tournament at the house. She invited over like 15 kids. The prize was like a can of baked beans.
Good prize for Mario Kart.
Yeah, and then she beat all the kids there too. So I've been telling her that I said, Lucy, I think it's time that we really up your dating game because she's not really loving the online dating app.
Sure.
And so I said, this is what we need to do.
Is this recent?
This is recent. Just a couple months ago, I told her. I said, why don't we rent a movie theater? Because you can rent a movie theater for like $200 for 2 hours.
Okay.
You can play video games. You could watch a movie in there. And I'm like, let's go to the movie theater. Let's hook up the Nintendo. Let's play Mario Kart on the big screen.
Dude, why didn't we do that tonight?
That would be epic, right?
Next time I have a bachelor weekend, or any of us have a bachelor weekend.
Yeah, we need to get the movie theater, right?
A group of guys together, and we'll just throw in $20 a piece.
Yeah, well, actually, I think it'd be more fun to go pick a movie series, even if it was older, and go to the movies and do like a special, because there's older movies that maybe your kids have never seen in the theaters.
Yeah.
And sometimes they re-release them.
Yep.
But it might be fun just to do that. Anyway, so I was like, okay, Lucy, so this is what I need you to do. I said, we're gonna advertise it. Come play for my daughter's hand.
What did we talk about this on
Mario
the podcast
Kart,
before?
We talked about it, not on the podcast, just offline.
Okay.
But since we're talking about video games,
this. Yeah, okay.
And I said, so I'm going to have all these men come and play me in Mario Kart. And if they beat me, they get to go on a date with my daughter.
And then she comes out and says,
she busts out.
I'll be playing for my own hand. Just like Meredith.
I'll be playing for my own hand, father. And we'll get a wig and the dress and everything. And then you take the controller from me and then you beat them. And, maybe you meet a good guy this way. She is not on board.
Oh, Lucy.
Unless we pay her.
What? No.
And we have to find the wig and the dress and everything.
I mean, okay, that's fine. We'll find the wig and the dress and, fake bow and arrow set. Fine.
At this point, I might as well hire a daughter. And let's just do it as a special episode of Daves of Our Lives. I'll be playing for my own hand, father. Like
just hire
some girl named Destiny.
Yeah, his name Destiny. Make sure she's redhead.
Destiny.
Come
Crystal.
play for. Yes. Sparkles.
Like, I'm afraid to look like I need woman to play my daughter. I can't Google this.
I wouldn't Google that. You might have to go to like a talent management agency.
No, it's just you leave your computer unlocked, and I do all my searches here.
No.
No.
No. I don't want that on my internet history. My ISP is going to have all of that data. I don't want that out in the public, Dave.
Anyway, so Mario Kart. I love Mario Kart.
Okay.
Daughters are both good at Mario Kart. There's a lot of smack talking. Me and Lucy have beat every single 150cc with all 3 gold stars in Mario Kart 8 against each other on the original levels and on the new ones. And we've moved up to 200cc, which is insane.
It bonkers?
Oh, it is crazy. And I think we've beat like 3 courses. But the problem is, if I played by myself, I'd probably win them all. And vice versa. She is so good that we will get first place on every single one. But it will be like she gets first and I get first in 3. Or I get first in 3 and then she beats me. She just rips the heart out. Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom style. That is, so as soon as the first race is over, I say the die has been cast. I am potential champion and you are spoiler ? And so the joy that she gets if I get first the first time is trying to spoil it, and then vice versa. She'll get first, and it's just this heart takeout stomp. No.
I haven't played Mario Kart. I haven't played like a Mario Kart like marathon or like since probably the Nintendo 64. I almost said 1964.
1964, which was pretty close.
Nintendo 64.
Mario Kart came out, and I was living in Vladivostok, Russia, and there's a lot of really cold, long winter days.
Sure.
And one day, so my dad would come play with me and my brother. My brother's, he's pretty good, but he's colorblind, so red-green shells. He's red-green colorblind.
Oh.
So he always claimed that's why he struggled in the game sometimes.
That's BS.
Right?
I call BS.
Right. I call BS.
Is this Uncle Slacker?
Uncle Slacker.
I call BS.
Uncle Slacker, call BS. And anyway, so my dad, he plays with us, and he's doing the...
Of course, yeah.
You know, he's like moving. This is before
But now you can do that with the Switch.
Yeah, this is before the Wii. This is before like motion control, so he's doing this. But we'd sit in my bedroom and play. And one day, we decide that we're going to play 100 rounds of Battle Mario Kart.
Of 100 rounds of battle. That is...
25 per course. Per battle map.
What?
So we play 25 of the donut one. We play 25 of this one, right? My dad, how many do you think my dad won?
Did he play on his own ever?
Well, he'd played with us many times before, but this was like an
epic... Of 100?
This was an epic, like, he knew how to play at this point.
Okay.
This was just a Mario Kart-a-thon, right? We're going to play 100. You know, the sun is set.
Doing this, I would say... How many did he win?
How many did he win out of 100?
10? He won 1 out of 100.
My dad won 1 out of 100.
Was he
How
frustrated?
many do you think my brother won?
10. He won 3. So you won 94.
96 out of 100. And they didn't give up. They didn't like join together either to like try to beat me. They just kept losing Mario Kart to me. And when the new Mario Kart came out on the Wii U, my dad got a Wii U and I had one, and we would go and play, and we always play Tanukis, the Mario in the fur outfit with the tail.
Yeah, of course.
And just have fun. But on the newer one, when you die, you become a ghost. And you can actually get items like bananas.
As a ghost?
As a ghost. And so you can roll around. No one can see you. You can look at people's screen.
This is when you do battle only.
Yeah, this is battle only. This is on Mario Kart 8. So they can look at your screen and see you. If they, screen cheat or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, you're totally invisible. And then out of nowhere, a banana appears. And just screws over the other person.
That's hilarious.
That one.
Okay.
That one.
I haven't played Battle on the new one.
Oh, dude, you got to come over.
Okay.
Lucy will. My daughter.
She will beat me.
You.
They will beat me.
They haven't met a boy that can beat them. I'm sure they're out there.
That's a unique skill.
Very proud father, knowing that I've trained Mario Kart assassins for girls.
So how old were you when you got your first video game system?
I don't remember not ever having video games.
Okay.
So my parents met in a computer programming class. I don't know if I ever mentioned this.
Oh, yes, you have.
I don't know if I did on the podcast. If I did, I apologize. I'm getting old enough that I'm just going to tell you the same stories over and over again.
We're going to end up like, one of these days, we're going to end up just sitting out on the porch like old men just talking.
Like a record.
Yeah.
You remember that one time?
Same stories over again.
And that podcast made us a nickel?
We're still yet to make a nickel.
Surprisingly, R1 does not sponsor very well.
No.
Anyway, so my parents met in a computer programming class, and so for my dad to be in there, they're using punch cards. This is back in the day.
Yeah.
My dad to be in there, it's like, okay, my dad's a nerd, but it was pretty common. My mom being in there was very rare.
Yeah.
Having a woman in a computer programming class.
Right.
And so I meet, and my parents, the only thing I can think of is that I'm just the byproduct of nerds. And so they had computers. Like, it was so I was born in 1981. And I remember playing video games and computer games and stuff in 1984, 85.
As a 3-year-old?
Like 4 years old, I remember.
Yeah.
So we had a Commodore 64. We had a Sega Master System.
Sega Master?
We had a Sega Master System 1, I think.
Okay.
So
was that before the Genesis?
This was before the Genesis. They actually had they had a couple different versions. But this one had the cartridges, but it also had like little like cards.
Oh, really?
They were very similar to like the TurboGrafx 16 cards, if you remember those.
Yeah.
And you could plug into it like peripherals, like it had some like 3D glasses. So we had that. We had a Commodore 64, which is like a computer combo. It had cartridges that went in and a floppy disk. And then my parents had the IBM 286 in their bedroom. And that was forbidden for us to play. And my mom would play King's Quest in there. And you know, so my parents, they invested. I mean, it was expensive for stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I remember we went over to a friend's house in the neighborhood and played the Nintendo. And it was, I have to have this. This is so much better than anything I have. How have I been living my life without this Nintendo? And my brother, I can't remember what it was. There were two things that happened. I think this is what it was, but we went to Six Flags, and you know, at the amusement parks they have those log rides where you're like floating in a tube, and you're just going
go
down,
up and then you splash down. Yeah.
So we go, and this is tied into the video games. So we get into the log ride and go up the little mountain, and then you go down, and there is no water.
What?
There is no water, and there are other logs just sitting there. And so,
how did they? What?
And we just go down and we smash into them like a car collision. Boom, whiplash, everything. And then more logs just kept coming.
So, with people in them?
Yeah, there was a hole somewhere, and all the water had fallen out. But the people in the front, they're not like paying attention, like, wow, I haven't seen a log come back. There was no sensors or anything at the time. And so finally a log came up, went over, hit, and was sticking halfway off the little conveyor. Oh. And then the ride operators were
That's when they decided to stop it.
Oh. So because of this, there's like a class action lawsuit.
Sure.
And Six Flags gave our family some money. And with that money, my mom let us buy a Nintendo.
All right.
Thus explaining how I've wasted thousands of hours of my life. And enjoyable.
Man.
What about you?
So our first system growing up was the Nintendo 64. I remember the Atari.
We did have an Atari.
You had an Atari?
We had an Atari 2600.
I think my uncle had an Atari, and that was where we played Atari. The stuff like Pitfall and
Pitfall.
Pong, of course, but
I'm going to tell you something real quick.
Okay.
Did you feel like, or let me ask you this question first. Did you have problems with the joysticks where it's like you're playing Pitfall and you're trying to like go down and the joystick just doesn't work?
Yep.
Sega Genesis controllers plug directly into Ataris and work.
Did they really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
You know how much easier those games are when you have a functioning D-pad? Well, I'm like, holy crap, this game's easy. Half the battle was just go down.
Yeah,
I'm obviously telling you to go down.
Probably why it was so difficult. Yeah.
They're interchangeable.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Well, you find this out when you just shove random things into random things.
I wonder.
It was a little tight of a fit because like one of the prongs is like bigger or something, but it works perfectly fine. You can plug it in, plug it out, no problem.
Huh. Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
Fun facts that you didn't need to know.
Fact check that.
Yeah. Fact check. Fact check. Can the Sega Genesis
controllers plug into the original Atari 2600s and work?
Oh, okay. Nintendo, the NES, the original NES, my uncle had. We borrowed a couple times. We always played when we were over there. Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis was kind of the next. That was always at my friends' houses. It was Mortal Kombat, which was highly controversial. Mortal Kombat 2. Those were like the big ones.
Because Mortal Kombat was just so bloody.
Yeah.
My parents let us play Clay Fighter.
Clay Fighter.
So they're just like clay figures. And one of them was like ripped Santa or something. I mean, dude, he was like 6-pack. Maybe I got that wrong, but there's different characters. My favorite was this blob, and he would jump up and turn into a saw blade. And he would cut the other characters.
Super Nintendo?
This is Super Nintendo.
Okay.
And he'd cut them in half, but there was no blood and they were clay. And then there was
it was okay.
Yeah, there's an Elvis one, and he's like, oh, and he flicks his hair and it hits somebody across the board. And I'm like, this is great. My parents are okay with it, but you go and play like the Genesis version of Mortal Kombat versus the Nintendo one. It's like, wow, there's a lot more blood in this.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal with the parents like back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was. But I remember like back when we did do sleepovers, it was like I'd go over to friends' houses that had two, like they'd have like the original NES, they'd have the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Right. And so we would spend like all night just switching out game cartridges and switching between systems, unplugging them from the computer or the TV, or switching whatever channels, and just playing video games all night. Play until we got frustrated with the game, and then switch
games.
Yeah, or switch systems.
I got a Game Genie for our Nintendo.
A Game Genie. Remind me what the Game Genie was. That
so
the cheat
Game
codes?
Genie was the cheat code thing. You'd hook the Nintendo cartridge onto it, and you'd plug it in, and then you could hit like certain codes to give you whatever benefits.
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda, original Nintendo. I've never played it before.
Okay.
We got the game, and we happened to get a Game Genie. I can't remember if we had the Game Genie before. But we're like, dude, the Game Genie's great. Let's play it with Legend of Zelda. So we put on there that you have invincibility. You can't die. And so we played it for a couple hours, and it's getting late. It's like, time to go to bed. And how do you save the game? And I cannot figure out how to save the game. And we're looking through the manual. There's no internet at the time. And we're literally in like a closet in Moscow, Russia.
Trying to figure out how to save Zelda.
Our bedroom was 6.5 feet by 7.5 feet.
Oh, that's tiny.
Yeah. But I was tinier back then, so it was okay.
Sure.
And finally, we just left the Nintendo on all night long and went to bed. So we wake up in the morning, we play some more. It? Yeah, we just paused it, turned the TV off, and went to bed. And eventually, Russia doesn't have at this time, and it might be different, but the grid isn't as stable.
Yeah,
and so it had like a power fluctuation. It turned off, and I was like, "Let's play without the Game Genie," and I died. And it's like, hey, do you want to save? That was the only.
That's the only way to save the game.
It was the only way to save the game was to die, and we picked the one cheat code that made it impossible.
You couldn't save the game at all.
The game.
That's funny, man. Jeez, video games seemed. I don't know. Kind of a I don't know what word to use, but pivotal or integral part of our childhood and adolescence.
Have you seen the movie? It's like NES Christmas or something.
No.
It is in the vein of A Christmas Story. Neil Patrick Harris he plays a father who goes back to his parents' house, and there's the old Nintendo, and he's like, let me tell you
a story about
how I got this Nintendo. So they have the iconic lines, you'll shoot your eye out equivalent, but sure. Everything's Nintendo.
Yeah.
8-bit Christmas is what it's called.
8-bit Christmas. Okay.
Well worth it. If you love the Christmas Story and you have an affinity to Nintendo, like if that has some meaning in your childhood, it is such a good, just in the vein of it. I would say spiritual successor to A Christmas Story.
Okay.
Where he's telling the story about his childhood, he's narrating the voice, and everything they go through to get this Nintendo that their parents do not want him to get because it will rot your brains.
Yeah.
It's going to increase violence and all that fun stuff.
I turned out to be very violent, Dave.
Yeah.
Not really. I'm pretty passive.
Except for when you're doing jiu-jitsu.
I'm still pretty passive in jiu-jitsu.
I mean, like, ooh, that tickles. Like that passive?
No, not that. It's just I'm not. I usually will try to wait for someone to try. Well, not always, but
you're just saying you're more defensive.
Yeah,
you
more
still
defensive.
Want to win,
right? Yeah, I want to catch someone in a bad position, but I'm not overly aggressive.
That's just jiu-jitsu. A strategy choice.
Yeah.
So, any other video game stuff? Anything that you can think of that you? Remember?
I'm sure we could talk all day about video game stuff. No, not growing up video games. Well, I know we have a Switch and a VR headset, but
like as a child, like getting the first Nintendo, it was so important, right? Getting the Super Nintendo, we traded in our Nintendo at a place called Funko, got some money, we earned some really want this Super Nintendo. And at this time we lived in Russia, and I remember I went to Moscow, I went to my neighbor's house, and he has a Nintendo knockoff, and the cartridge
there was a Nintendo knockoff?
Oh, dude, they had all sorts of knockoff stuff. The cartridge had 250 games on it.
What?
And they were all the Nintendo games.
This was what
in
year?
Moscow, Russia, 1992.
What?
I saw a Genesis playing Donkey Kong Country. The amount of piracy.
Oh my gosh!
And just like they'd cram all the games into one cartridge.
Yeah.
They'd sell them. Everything would be like super, super unethical, right?
Sure.
And but we were so excited about like a legitimate Nintendo. But we'd have to play it with like a transformer because it's on Nintendo, it's on the wrong power and everything.
Right.
So we didn't get a European version. We got an American one. Way excited. Fast forward, we're very excited about the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
So that was when Nintendo, I would say that was a very pivotal moment in their history, choosing to not go with the CDs, the whole Nintendo PlayStation thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go, if you don't know anything about that, there's channels. There's actually people have found Nintendo PlayStations.
Nintendo PlayStations?
Oh, yeah. You can go look. There's people that have found, they got it working. It's crazy.
Wait, what? So it's a disc?
Nintendo and Sony had a partnership to develop an add-on for the Super Nintendo.
Oh.
And
where you could play PlayStation games on the Nintendo?
Sony, and it was called the Nintendo PlayStation.
Oh.
And it was a partnership with Sony. So long story short, Sony announces at one of the video game things that they have a partnership with Nintendo. Nintendo announces at the same event that they've partnered with Philips.
Oh.
Okay. Japanese culture. These are two Japanese companies.
Yeah.
Nintendo backstabs Sony to go partner with an American company, and they made the 3DI, the Philips 3DI, and that's why there's some Zelda games on the 3DI that are absolutely terrible. 3DO, I think is what it's called.
What's the 3DO?
It was one of the disc-based systems that came out.
Okay.
So Sony was very irate about this, and they're like, "Screw you, we're going to make the play," and they went and made the PlayStation out of spite.
Really?
Oh yeah. And one of the biggest franchises, the Final Fantasy franchises, they begged Nintendo to. This was Square at the time before Square Enix merger. They begged Nintendo to go with the CDs, and Nintendo had the reasons why. And when they said no, they went with PlayStation just because of the amount of storage. So the two systems, I would equate them to like the Nintendo's like a rocket without very much fuel.
Okay.
Because it just is such a beast of a system.
Yeah.
But the amount of space that you had on those cartridges is so limited.
Yeah.
And the PlayStation wasn't as powerful, but it had like a ton of storage.
Yeah.
And there were some people that weren't super happy with how Nintendo did business with them. And so Sony, it was kind of ripe for the picking.
Right.
But anyway, Nintendo 64 is coming out. We're super excited about it. We have like video game magazines, me and my brother.
Okay.
So we save up all our pennies, dollars. My sister's husband worked at like retail, so he was able to get me one.
Like wholesale?
Like at launch.
Okay.
There was a family that lived down below us, and they were coming back from America, and I'm like, can you bring me my Nintendo 64 back? And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. Just drop it off at this house, and we're coming back. There's no, I would say, ways to ship it that I would consider it safe.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
right, sure.
So this needs to be hand brought back. She shows up, and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. Go downstairs. I'm like, hey, Michelle, did you bring it? Can I see the Nintendo? She's like, I didn't have enough room for it. That box was so big.
Yeah.
I'm like, screw the box. Just take it
out of the box and put it in. Yeah.
And she didn't. And I was so devastated.
So how much longer did you have to wait for your Nintendo?
I can't remember. It was like another couple months or something. Somehow I got it. And so we have a lot of fond memories playing Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
And then I bought a GameCube. Like, I'm a big Nintendo fan. So I have a soft spot for that. So I got a GameCube, got a Wii, got a Wii U, have a Switch.
Yep.
And a lot of fond memories playing. How are we doing on time?
We're good. We got about 30 more minutes.
Okay.
Before we got to head out. That's so I don't ever remember expressing a desire to have a Nintendo 64.
It just showed up.
I didn't know. Well, maybe I did. I know I had friends that had the Nintendo 64, and I had played some like Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings. Those are the two.
Pilot Wings is fun. Both of those games are great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those. And I don't know if I'd probably have to ask my parents, but I don't remember like ever asking to get a Nintendo 64. Maybe I did though. But
you're obviously not as fanatical about it as I was.
I definitely wasn't. I didn't know when it came out. I just know that when I went to my friend's house that had it, I was like, this is really cool. I'm like, the graphics are amazing. It's 3D, and you know what I mean? Like, it opened up a whole new world. I felt like Mario 64 was like almost open world where you could just run around and do whatever you want.
And you go back and you play it now. This is kind of frustrating to play.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was just so awesome.
Yeah. So
GoldenEye.
Oh yeah.
GoldenEye was iconic. Mario 64, Wave Racer.
The
water graphics. Laura and I saw Wave Racer at the we were on a date. I think it was her birthday. And we were at the mall, and we went to one of those used video game places. They had Wave Racer there, $5. We bought it, took it home, and played it because she had fond memories of playing it.
Oh, that's awesome!
I don't think we played it again since then, but for $5,
now you can get if you have Nintendo. If you have the Nintendo Online account, you can play it on there.
But I mean, I have my original in 64 at the house.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I don't know. I wasn't super.
Yeah.
Not that I know of. Again, I'm getting old and my memory's probably a little bit spotty, but I don't remember like begging and pleading to get a Nintendo 64.
I would buy it. We bought it ourselves. Like it wasn't. Yeah. It was just, can I have permission to do it? My parents obviously bought like video games for birthdays and stuff.
Yeah.
And Christmas, but me and my brother would we'd mow lawns or do chores or whatever to like buy video game stuff. That was like our thing.
We it showed up for Christmas.
Just one day.
Yeah, and I don't know how my parents decided that Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time was
classic.
Was the package to get.
Okay, were you happy about that?
Yeah. I mean, one player game, but still, like, I'm between three boys at the time that were like old enough to play it. But we, somehow figured out how to share it and split the 3 profiles so that we could play.
Yeah. So like nowadays, kids will watch people play video games like Twitch.
Yeah.
But you probably had the original Twitch in the basement where you're playing a 1-player game, but your 2 or 3 other brothers are watching and hey,
like,
try that.
You should try this.
You should try that. Do this, right? And it was fun. I remember my brother, we bought like Ultima and Final Fantasy, these Japanese like role-playing games.
Yeah.
And he would play them. And we'd have the map, and we're sitting there looking at me and my brother, and he's like 9 years older.
Did you ever get like the walkthrough booklets?
No, we didn't get any of those. But I remember on one of them, it was so annoying. You'd go buy potions,
okay,
and you could only buy one at a time. You couldn't say like quantity 100. So my brother, he's like, "Do you guys want to turn playing?" Yeah, he's like, "Buy me 99 potions," and walk out of the room. And we're fighting over the controller, so we can just
just going back.
I'm touching it. We're just open, close, open, close, open, close. Oh my gosh, just like we're getting to touch the controller.
Yeah.
Like, this is so awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was an interesting experience. And then we got like 1080 snowboarding.
That was pretty cool.
That was a fun game.
64.
Yeah, that was a fun game.
The physics and the graphics. I mean, things like that I think are harder to do on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
PlayStation genre, I think they had just different games that played better.
Yeah.
But like Wave Racer, the 1080 snowboarding, stuff like that, I don't think you could do on the PlayStation.
Excite Bike 64.
Yeah.
I remember the hill climb challenge on
every single game, 64 at the end, 64 at the end. They actually were going to call it the Nintendo Ultima.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
In the U.S., I think.
But they decided to just go with the Nintendo 64.
I think in Japan they did 64. There's some reason behind it. But if you went to like the Nickelcade and you played Cruising USA.
Oh, yeah.
It would say powered by Nintendo Ultima.
Did it really?
Yeah.
That game was fun.
I would go to Nickelcade. My mom would drop me off, and I'd sit there and like shark people. Because I only had so much money. I was going to be there a long time. And so I'd be like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Oh, you want to play? And if you won,
they had to pay for
they paid for the game. Like, I didn't have to pay if I won. And so there was something about it. So like they would put nickels in, but I didn't have to.
So you just kept beating them?
I kept beating them. But I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I don't know, playing Dove.
Those
I mean, they were like
games
9-year-old kids. I was 16 probably. No, I was like 13 playing against other 13-year-old kids talking smack. But I remember when I started driving a car for real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the hardest thing ever. I want to pass everyone.
So much different.
No, I just want to pass people. Like you're on the freeway. Like, why am I just staying in my lane behind this guy going the speed limit?
Did you ever try to double pump the pedal?
Yeah, double pump the pedal to see if I can do like a flip and just like bust through the cows.
Thankfully, Dave never wrecked into cows.
Yet.
Yet.
The deer here in the neighborhood, they try to get me, but that's about it.
The deer and the turkeys.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. I remember there were some 64 games that we just rented from like the video rental store. Like I think Cruising USA was one of them.
Yeah, I bought that game because it was one of the launch titles.
Yeah, okay.
Cruising, Pilot Wings, and Mario 64, I think, were the 3 launch titles.
Yeah.
And because there was just so few games.
Yeah. When Zelda came out, I think my parents bought that specific package.
Yeah, so
you buy the system with the controller and the game. that game, I still play.
Legend of Zelda?
Like Ocarina of Time?
You know what one I haven't played that I want to? Majora's Mask.
You haven't played Majora's Mask?
I've never played Majora's Mask.
That game was so difficult to figure out.
Yeah.
Man, it was... Because you had to do a sequence, because you only have 3 days, right?
Yeah.
3 days to
so graphically, it's Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
It's built on the same engine and stuff, but it takes a different spin.
Yeah, the gameplay in that is interesting because, like, just to get to where you can advance, it felt like it was so difficult. I'm like, how do I do this? I don't have time.
I don't have time. It feels different to have that time crunch.
Yeah.
Did you ever play Wind Waker?
Yes.
Okay, I remember.
I think I've played almost every Legend of Zelda game there is.
Very controversial.
Since the 64.
Very controversial.
Really? Wind Waker was?
When Wind Waker came out, people were mad because it didn't have that gritty... Because they had shown images of like a gritty, like realistic-looking Zelda.
Sure.
And then they came out with the Wind Waker.
And it's cartoon.
And it's cartoony, and it is beautiful. Especially like the HD remakes are just like... It's so much fun. I played it with the kids. Like, they're watching. They're telling me to do things. It's so much more limiting than, like, a Breath of the Wild experience.
Yeah, sure.
But it's still so fun and very well done. But they then came out with Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I remember Twilight Princess. That was that realistic.
That's the realistic one. But I don't think that's nearly as fun as...
I think Wind Waker's way more fun.
Way more fun.
Yeah, way more fun than Twilight Princess. And then there was Skyward Sword.
And I played that was on the Wii with like the motion control.
Yep.
That one, Link is left-handed.
Yeah.
But Skyward Sword, he's right-handed.
Yeah.
Because most people are right-handed, and they wanted you to swing the swords around.
Yeah.
So Link is bihandual.
He's bihandual, ambidextrous.
I guess for smart people you'd say that, but for the regular people like us, it's bihandual.
Bihandual.
It'll catch on eventually. Ambidextrous is Latin, and that's a dead language. I don't know if that's a good reason not to use it. Did you just think about the Roman Empire again?
Yes. Yep. Every day. Every day. Skyward Sword. That was on the Wii. Was there one for the Wii U?
They did come out with one on the Wii U. It was Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild on the
Breath of the Wild came out on the Wii U. So they did Twilight Princess to bridge the GameCube and the Wii.
And the Wii, yeah.
So they both came out on both systems.
Okay.
Then Skyward Sword was on the Wii only. And then on the Wii U, so if you look at the tablet, like on Breath of the Wild, like that's supposed to be the Wii U gamepad.
Oh, it's not supposed to be a Switch?
They did not make Breath of the Wild for the Switch. They made Breath of the Wild for the Wii.
Oh, okay.
But for the Wii U. But the Wii U was flopping terribly. It just wasn't doing well. Really fun system.
So they re-released Breath of the Wild?
They brought the Switch forward. They said, "Hey, we're going to cut off the Wii U's time frame. We're going to launch the Switch."
Because the Wii U was kind of similar, right, with that handheld.
Yeah, so the Wii U was the handheld that you could dock.
Yeah.
There was the game system, and then just think of it as a controller that could sync to the game system.
Right. Yeah.
So I could play it upstairs, play Mario Kart after the kids went to bed. Like while they're falling asleep, I could play it as long as I was within like 50 feet of the system or something. Right. So Nintendo is making it for the Wii U, and the Switch gets pushed forward like several years.
Yeah.
They weren't planning on the next game system that quickly. The life cycle is pretty short for the Wii U. And so they launched Breath of the Wild on the Switch and on the Wii U.
Okay.
So you've played Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom has caverns and caves.
Yeah.
The Tears of Breath of the Wild does not, because the Wii U wasn't capable. There's some technical limitations.
Oh, okay.
So part of the reason why Tears of the Kingdom
Tears of the Kingdom is so much bigger. There's so much more.
They learned how to develop in the system and stuff like that, but
it's the same landscape. Like the map is
as the system gets older, they get better at developing. So you'll see technological amazement later on in the game. But yeah, that's the reason why Breath of the Wild is more limited. Is one, the system was new, but the major one was so that they could make it work on both systems.
Okay. Interesting. So I did not know that.
I know a lot about video games, more than I was planning on talking today.
Yeah, then we got off.
I wanted to tell you, if you're okay, I want to share two board game stories.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And they're both naughty. So if any of this is PG-13 now, guys.
There's your warning.
That's your warning.
If you are younger, pause.
Pause and
fast
come
forward.
back.
Yeah.
Come back in 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
Like a light PG-13.
What board game is the first story?
Okay. The first one is Scrabble.
Okay.
Actually, they're both Scrabble stories.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm playing Scrabble with my...
I've never really gotten into Scrabble. I've played it, but I've never
Okay, so you understand.
So I understand the game.
My mom is very good at Scrabble.
Okay.
And so never beat her as a kid, and that will come into play later on.
So she never went easy on you, and then you don't go easy on your kids, and then they're just going to like...
This is a cycle of abuse. But I've made them strong, right? So anyway, I'm playing Scrabble with my first wife and her mom.
Okay.
Okay. She would always challenge me on words. I'm like, neonatal. She said, that's not a word. I'm like, it's a word, and it's worth a lot of points, and I'm playing it down, right?
Quick sidebar, which is our theme of the podcast.
Yeah.
Sheena, when we were newly married, she... we were driving home or somewhere. We were driving somewhere, and there was a rainstorm coming in, and so she looked out west and saw the clouds, and she said, "Those clouds look very ominous." And I was like, "That's not a word."
Ominous. That's when you found out what ominous was?
Yeah.
It's okay. No, my first wife, she used the word sleuth.
Oh.
And I'd never heard the word.
Never heard the
I
word
actually went
sleuth.
on Facebook and posted, like, how many of you guys know what the word sleuth is? And everyone's like making fun of me. And I was like, okay, I didn't know. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm homeschooled. Anyway, so I get this word, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, it's kind of a little controversial, but I'm going to put it down. And I put it down. It's worth too many points. Not the word itself, but like getting next to the other letters, and I hit like a triple word, right? So I place it down, and she looks at me and she goes, "That's not a word." And I said, "Listen."
This was what word again?
I'll get there.
Okay.
I said, this is totally a word. And she's like, "It's not a word." I promise you, this is a word. She goes, "I'm going to challenge it." No, don't challenge it. If you don't know what word this is, just trust me, it's a word. Let's play the game. You'll be better off not knowing. And she's like, "No." And she gets up, she grabs a dictionary, she sits down, she flips it over, she opens it up, gets there, looks at it, face goes bright red, looks at me and says, "Take that off the board. Take that off." And I'm like, "No, it's a word." She's like, "Take it off." I said, "Listen, dildo is a word, and I am not taking it off the board." This is how my mother-in-law found out what that word was.
Your mother-in-law didn't know what it was.
My wife at the time's
Your
over
wife
here
didn't know
like
what it was.
bright red. She knows what this word is. I'm very sorry, Peggy, that this is how you found it, but it was worth a lot of points. And I don't think I have enough social skills to know that it's not worth it's worth losing to not do this. So I put the word down, and I can't remember how the game ended. I think I might have took it off the board, but the fact that she found out what that word was from me,
from Scrabble,
in a game of Scrabble,
that's
like
hilarious.
Chef's kiss. So, second Scrabble story, and I'm going to back up. These are going to be related.
Okay.
So, and I might have told you this one off the podcast.
Probably.
So I'm hanging out with my friend Cooper, and Cooper, this is like 9 years ago.
Okay.
And he's like, Bob's Burgers is a really funny show. You should totally watch Bob's Burgers.
So he recommended a cartoon.
Recommended a cartoon show. I don't have access to it, so I didn't really think about it a whole lot. Fast forward, we have the baby. We're in the hospital, sitting there. We have access to TV channels that we don't normally at home. Baby's sleeping. I'm like, hey, honey.
Was Bob's Burgers on Cartoon Network?
It was on Fox.
Oh, it was a Fox. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're flipping through I'm flipping through the channels. Baby's sleeping. Lars resting. I had the baby yesterday. And there's Bob's Burgers. And I said, hey, Cooper said this is really fun. Do you want to watch it? She's like, sure. This is an episode where Bob is in a fight with somebody who runs an art gallery.
Okay.
And he's
like a physical fight or like...
It's like a verbal fight.
Okay.
There's some physical aspects to it. But in the middle, like we jump right into the middle of this episode. And he's going around and there are animal paintings. And none of the animals have anuses.
Okay.
And the lady doesn't like animal anuses. And Bob... The lady that runs the gallery. And Bob, to be a jerk because they're in a fight, he's taking this black paintbrush and he's
painting
he's
anuses.
just dotting. It's not graphic. I mean,
He's
the
just
cartoon.
putting a dot.
He's
where
just
the
putting a
anus
dot,
would be.
and she is freaking out.
Okay.
I'm like, Bob! And he's like, oh, well, you don't like anuses? And he's just dotting the animals. This is how I'm introduced to the show. This is the first scene. We're in the middle of an episode, and Lara's like, I don't know. Like, I think we finished watching the episode. Okay.
And have you watched any more Bob's Burgers?
Oh,
since?
we've watched tons of Bob's Burgers since. It's a great show. It's very funny.
Okay.
Anyway,
now,
so the
how
next
does this relate to Scrabble?
The next day.
The next day. Okay.
My mom comes over to see the baby.
And you play the word anus.
No. She sees the baby. Lara's like, I'm going to go take a nap. Baby's going to take a nap. My mom goes, hey, do you want to play Scrabble? At this point, I've never beat my mom at Scrabble. So we get it out. We're playing. I get down to the last word, last play. I have 4 letters left. I'm thinking if I can find a free A on the board, I can spell sauna. And I'm going to win the game. And I cannot. I end up playing 3 letters. My mom plays out. Because of my penalty, she beats me by like 1 point. And then my mom looks over at my hand, the one letter I didn't play, and she goes,
why didn't you play anus?
Why didn't you play anus? This is one of these moments in your life where God gives you the key to beating your mother at the game that she has dominated in your life for so long. Through Bob's Burgers.
And you had just
the
heard
word
this
is
word
anus
many times the day before.
And I didn't use it.
You were looking for sauna.
I was looking for sauna.
But you had the
and I could have put the S at like the end of like a word, and anus was there. It was delivered on a silver platter by the creator of the universe to me to defeat my mother. And I didn't use it. I used dildo on my mother-in-law, and I couldn't use anus on my mom. That sounds much worse.
Yeah.
Without context.
Phrasing. Oh, that's going to be a good short.
There's so many ways you could slice an episode up and make a short that sounds so bad.
That one's gonna go viral, Dave. I'm telling you right
I
now.
used dildo on my mother, but wouldn't use anus on my mom.
Oh man.
So if I ever do stand-up comedy, that's going in the bit right there.
That's got to be like the last. That's the high note.
That's like the high note, and you walk off.
Yep.
So in board games, those are my 2, I would say, funniest things.
Those are hilarious.
Related to Scrabble. What about you?
I don't know that I have any like funny board game stories. Here's something with card games, right?
Okay, card games, same.
Card games. There's a game kind of like Slapjack.
Okay.
That when I was in Scouts we would play. So we'd always have a deck or 2 of cards, and you can play it without having like a complete deck of cards. So it's called what did we call it? It wasn't a very nice name. It
There's
was
one called BS, I think.
It wasn't BS. We called it.
I think there's one called Boogers.
Egyptian rat screw. It was what we called it.
Can't believe you said the E and the R word there.
The alternate name was utilize the F word. The game is you are trying to get all of the cards in the entire deck. So whoever wins gets all the ones. Okay. So you can slap on doubles, and then you get whatever that pile is.
Okay.
If you lay a face card, you have 3 chances to lay down, or 2 chances, depending on what the face card is. Like a jack, you get one. The opponent or the next person playing gets 1 chance to lay either a face card or a double.
Is it like a modified version of War? Like a more active version of War?
Yeah, it's way more active.
Yeah, because there's back and forth. War is just like dumb luck.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you lay down number cards, you just take your turn, and then the next person, and you just pile up until the face card's laid down. And then everyone pauses and waits for what the next one's going to be. Or you watch for doubles.
Okay.
You slap on doubles.
There's slapping on it. I think there's a different name for this game.
There probably is.
I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, there probably is. So if you get like a jack. So if I lay down a jack, you would have 1 chance to lay down a double or another face card. If you lay down a number card, then I win the entire pile.
Okay.
And it
just plays with regular face cards. There's so many cool games like that.
Right. So we would play it a lot on scout camping trips.
Yeah.
So let's play Egyptian rat screw.
That's what you said in front of the leaders.
Right. Yes. And so, like lunchtime at scout camp, we'd sit at the picnic table and play. And I got pretty good at just like sliding my hand underneath the other person's hand to be able to win.
Is that cheating?
No.
Okay.
What was cheating was if you were to flip the card so that you could see it. That's what we determined was cheating. If you flip the cards where you could see it and lay it down before your opponents could see it.
Oh, okay. So because you were stalling.
It was like, yeah, so you couldn't like take it and flip it this way, but you had to flip it this way. Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
And I might have asked you this because I had a moment this last fall.
A moment.
I thought about this. And so I've been asking some friends, but would you ever lose a board game intentionally?
No.
To make another person feel good?
No.
How would you feel if somebody did that to you?
If they lost intentionally?
If they lost intentionally so you could win because they thought that it would make you happy.
Oh.
And you didn't it wasn't obvious that they did it, but then you found out later.
How would that make me feel?
How would it make you feel if somebody intentionally lost?
I would probably just think it was funny at this point in my life. I'd be like, why? That's weird. Why would you do that? But okay, whatever. Like I wouldn't care.
Like, okay, whatever. Okay,
yeah.
So I'm at my friend's house, and this is my friend Adam. He's big into board games.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. Has like a nice gaming table. Used to run like a board game store. And it's his birthday.
Okay.
And we bust out Splendor. I'm very good at Splendor.
Oh, Splendor. Yeah, I like Splendor. That's a fun one.
Yeah, I'm very good at it. I didn't used to be as good at it, and I played the online app version, and I got my butt kicked by some people. And I was like, wait a second, there's other strategies to this. So pretty good at it, right? So anyway, so my friend Cooper, he's like, hey, Dave over here is super good at Splendor. Like, do not let him win. The other 2 guys are new. And so they're just trying to figure out what's going on. Cooper's keeps reminding them, don't let Dave get away with this. At some point, Cooper dedicates his whole game to destroying me. He does not care if he wins. All he cares about is screwing me over.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh man. So Adam's over here and he's doing pretty good. And he is getting close to winning. And he says, oh my gosh, I've never won this game before. And it's his birthday. I don't think about this. I am just going to win. And so I play a card down. I get I end the game.
Yeah.
He gets one more turn. He ties me. And when I played my card down, I said, there's no way you can get more points than me, Adam, but you can tie me. Do you know what the tiebreaker is? And he goes, no. He goes, whoever has fewer cards, and I have fewer cards. And he had been making fun of me during the game, like my play style. So I was kind of being catty back with him, right?
Sure.
So I win. Cooper's over here like, guys, I told you. You know, he's just... I'm like playing against the whole table, right?
Yeah.
And about a half hour later, I'm home. And I thought to myself, I'm a bad friend. He's never won the game.
Yeah.
And it's his birthday. And it would have been so easy for me to just not win. And so I waited like another week. I went over to the house and I saw him and Cooper there.
So did you ask him, like...
I asked him.
Okay.
I said, hey, Adam, would you ever intentionally lose a board game? And he goes, Dave, I'm just not very good at board games. I'm not intentionally losing them.
So he took it totally different than when
And I'm like,
asking.
no. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean it that way. Like, and it's true. Adam's not.
I'm just not good. Stop making fun.
His like order processing's off. So he enjoys the social. He enjoys teaching.
Right.
He enjoys that other people are enjoying it. He does like winning, but he
doesn't
is
care
not. He just gets his wires crossed. I mean, he said he taught girls how to play chess and they beat him the first time they played, like on a date. And he's like, so this order processing just kind of gets jumbled up.
Right.
Anyway, so I asked Cooper the same thing and he's like, no. And both of them were like, I'd be actually really offended.
Yeah, I don't know
if
that
I
would be
found
offended.
out that you had done that and it meant something to me. So like if I had lost and never said anything to Adam and he would have been happy, he would have been sad to find out that loss was that I tossed
you feel
the game.
you feel cheated, right? You want to win legitimately.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel cheated or feel like, someone's throwing you a bone for some reason.
Yeah,
it
I
just
don't want
doesn't
a bone.
that victory just doesn't feel as satisfying.
Now, I'm competitive in the game, but I don't care if I win.
Right.
Like, I'm happy to win. And I love smack talking during the board games.
Of course.
And
it's
like,
part of the banter is part of the fun.
oh, the banter's great.
Like we played, my family and I played Trivial Pursuit, Star Wars Trivial Pursuit.
Oh, the banter on that would have been great.
Dude, it was a good time. It was so fun.
Were you like, I love you, Mom? And she said,
I know.
I know.
No, we were just like, it was kind of like not competitive, but competitive because it's based on the original trilogy, not anything after.
Okay.
And so there's like really like obscure references to characters that I'm like, when was that mentioned in this trilogy at all? And then like other like behind the scenes making of trivia. So there were some questions where we were like, you should know this. Like, think about it. We're like trying to give our siblings a chance to win or at least get the answer right so that we can move on.
So it could be like more competitive and like move on and stuff.
Right. So we just keep going.
How
we probably ought to wrap up here soon.
Probably wrap up.
No, I think that was a good question to end on. I don't think I would ever lose intentionally. Because it's fun to be competitive. There's nothing. It's not a high consequence thing.
It's just a board game.
To win or lose at a board game. It's not something that there's really any stake in it.
No,
So
my dad's super good at chess. I beat him once in my life. I think I was 13.
We should play chess.
My brother said you should retire and never play him again, and just go out on top at 13.
Yeah.
Right. I lose some games. I win some games. Like I'm okay. And I like playing them. Some people get really offended because they feel like you're being too competitive because you're trying really hard.
Sure.
And I don't mind that. I don't mind people being competitive. I don't want to play with people that are going to be sore losers or be mean about it. And be hurtful.
Because at the end of the day, it's a board game.
It's a board game. Like, it's like, have you seen that short? Have you seen those shorts where it's like, hey, I need the rent. And the lady's like, I don't have the rent. And he's like, pay rent.
This is like Monopoly.
Yeah, and she's like, is there any way that we could work something? Starts unbuttoning her shirt, and then it zooms out, and he's like, it's Monopoly. Just pay rent.
Just pay the rent.
Like, stop it. Stop role playing an adult film.
Although that would make for an interesting game of Monopoly with one-on-one with my wife.
Adult.
Rent.
There was a.
Let's work something out.
Yeah, we were at DI, and one of my old friends, he likes to collect Monopoly games.
Oh, cool.
And I saw one version of Monopoly, and it had handcuffs in it.
No way. That's
and I was
so
like,
when you're
so I
in
took a
jail, you
picture.
actually put handcuffs on?
I took a picture of it, and I sent it to him, and I said, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Like date night Monopoly?
Oh, man. I have a fun story about handcuffs for another episode.
Okay. Well, we're going to wrap up.
Yeah. That was a good. I think that was a good ending note. I love on the topic of Monopoly. That's probably my favorite board game is Monopoly, with no house rules. If you play like the way the rules are written, it actually doesn't take as long as what.
What do you mean?
So house rules. There's one house rule.
Oh, no house rules.
No house rules.
Where you don't have the jackpot.
Right. So
you can't buy community chess.
Right.
If you're the train or the boat, you don't get to travel across the crease.
Exactly. Yeah, that's. Those
My
are
grandpa
some
had some weird house rules.
If you stick to the rules that are written.
Do you play the one where you randomly deal out the properties, or do you have to buy all the properties?
So, yeah, you have to auction. When you land on it, you either buy or it gets auctioned.
Okay, so either buy or get auctioned. The other thing is, so this is a strategy that's really effective for winning Monopoly. Don't ever put a hotel down.
Don't ever put a hotel down?
There's only a finite number of houses on the game, and so you can choke out the housing market.
Because you have to build evenly.
Yeah.
So unless you have the cash to buy all three. Oh, but what you're saying.
So what I'm saying
is if you buy out all the houses,
you occupy all the houses on the board, and you'll screw everybody else over.
Unless they have enough cash to just put hotels on.
I don't know,
because you can buy.
Can you buy directly into a hotel?
You have to just pay the amount for each for 4 houses plus the hotel, or so for 5 houses.
Does the rule say that you have to? You're basically. You don't have to build. Is it the same cost to buy the hotel as it is to build?
So the cost of a hotel is 5 houses. So if you've built 4 houses,
then you just put one.
Then
more
you
house
just buy one more house, and that's a hotel.
So the question is, when you look, and then we're gonna have to fact check this.
Yes.
In the rules, do you are you basically buying all the houses and then you put the hotel down? And if there are no houses, can you not build a hotel?
You can build a hotel
because there's this strategy. Is very difficult for people to beat you because they typically need houses. They don't have enough money to just buy the hotel at first.
Right.
So
if you don't have any houses, you're not getting increases in rent. So it's going to be much harder to build a hotel.
Correct.
Yeah. And
so,
I see that. I think that's good.
That is a very effective strategy.
Yeah. You just have to build evenly, right? So within one house on your property. So if you have the Monopoly,
you'd have to have 3 hotels.
Right. If there were no houses left, you have to buy 3 hotels, and that's it. That's
okay. So and that's where the pain comes in.
Yeah.
Is that
because that's a
so
huge upfront cost. But if somebody lands on it, you're going to pay even on like some of the cheaper properties.
It's very expensive.
Yeah. But even on those, like if somebody lands on them, and you have a hotel, like that's a huge increase in the rent.
Yeah. My grandpa would make up rules like the first person to land on community or chance. For so much money could buy the deck.
Oh, really?
And then when people landed on it, they had to buy the cards from you. And some of the cards weren't good.
Jeez.
So if you landed on it, you could choose whether or not for $25 you could buy a card.
The card.
And then when I was mentioning the crease one, that's the other one, is he said that if you owned the 2 railroads on the board crease and you were the boat or the train, if you landed on one, you could travel across the other one as long as you owned both.
Oh my gosh.
Railroads.
There's so many obscure house rules. I like Monopoly when you just stick to the rules that are written.
There's a Advanced to Boardwalk version in the Monopoly world, right?
Okay,
Parker Brothers.
Yeah.
I have it. It's a lot more. I like it better than Monopoly.
Oh, we should play it sometime.
Yeah, we can play it.
Okay.
Okay.
Good
well,
stuff. Anyway,
this has been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to another Seinfeld-like episode of Days of Our Lives.
And join us for updates on the wedding gift saga. I feel like this is going to be a saga.
I feel like this is me working out the ominous letter that I still don't have. I still don't have resolution on that, so I can't share anymore. But I'm like, somebody sent me this letter. I'm like, I need to prank somebody else now. And I don't think the letter's a prank, but this is like my emotional outlet on it.
Emotional restitution.
Emotional restitution.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, folks.